and I have a son who suffers from schizophrenia. I think I started recognizing things weren't right with my son his freshman year in college. It came to light actually in his sophomore year, and it came to light when I had to have him arrested because his behavior was erratic and I wasn't sure what to do. So that was a very difficult situation, and it was really a culmination of 18 months worth of erratic behavior. His first psychotic break took everybody by such surprise that during that period of time, I had to deal with my own fear of the illness, not knowing about it. And also I felt like I was mourning the loss of my son and the dreams I had for him. And my son, he was so over-medicated at the hospital and could not really grasp what was going on, and I wasn't very good at explaining it to him. So we came up with a treatment option, but I think it was as much as me trying to protect him and dealing with my own fear, and it was him just trying to get out of the hospital. So he was willing to almost accept anything at that point to leave, and he knew that I wasn't going to provide any assistance unless he did it the way I asked. So I think from the get-go, it probably wasn't a meeting of the minds. It was, and that's actually been a real issue over the last 3 years, because the fact that I don't think I got Glenn to own his illness, and I think trying to help him so much, he hasn't come to grips with it as much as he should have. And I think part of that was me trying to do what was right in my mind, but I think sometimes the best laid plans go awry, and I would say because Glenn didn't own it at the beginning, I think that's actually slowed the process of him trying to own it now. The first visit I had with the doctors at Mass General, there was a young intern who sort of told me that she felt that he was suffering from schizophrenia, which at the time I knew nothing about. So as a result of my leave, I spent the next 8 weeks researching what schizophrenia was all about, researching treatment options available to people with schizophrenia, and talking to the folks at Mass General. And it took me to online research that took me to psychiatrists, that took me to facilities, that took me to talking to people. And I would say I spent pretty much 8 weeks that all I really did was chat to people who were providing treatment, psychiatrists, and I read several books on mental illness, and specifically on schizophrenia, and what was available out there for treatment. The doctor went in to examine him in the afternoon, and she came back and she said, "Mr. Rabinowitz, your son doesn't have a drug problem. Your son's very ill, and he's suffering from psychosis. We need to get him to a hospital. We need to do it right away." I think you need to talk to as many different people as possible to understand what the options are. And you need to start with some trusted advisors. So you need to find a really good therapist, a really good psychiatrist, somebody who's actually had experience with dealing with serious mental illness, whether it's bipolar illness, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's major depression. The fortunate thing, there are such folks at Yale. They've been, although they have not treated my son, they've been extremely helpful in helping me get a better understanding of the illness and what options are available. So I think that the best thing you can do is try to find a network of people that will support your son, and also, if needed, somebody who can support you in your journey, because it is a family problem. It's not just the person who's ill, it affects every single member of your family. It's not a death sentence, mental illness. It's something that is difficult, extremely difficult to navigate. The person with the illness has to own it. You can provide support, you can try to help them. I would say my son's relationship, it's 3 steps forward and maybe 2 steps back, and it's very slow. But there are bright spots, and you need to move on. But I think I really believe there is not so much hope, there is recovery. I expect my son to to live a healthy and happy life. And I'm going to stay with that because the fact that he has not changed. He is still the same talented young man that he was before this illness was picked up. Now we just know what he has to deal with. So don't make excuses for them, but don't also give up on them. They're no different than if they had a physical illness and you were helping them trying to make sure they could beat a physical illness. You would do everything in your power to do that. Well, it's the same thing with a mental illness, but at the end, I think he's going to live a pretty good life. I think the talents he has will be used. I just think it's taking longer to get there.